welcome! It's mid-March and seed sowing is starting in earnest. The seeds I've been planting today are things that are more cold tolerant. The cabbages and sprouts and broccolis. So plants that don't mind it being a bit colder. The more delicate, warm loving plants, your tomatoes and peppers, I'm going to wait till the end of March or early April before I start planting those. So only a couple of weeks to wait, by which time hopefully these house-started seeds will be ready to move out into the polytunnel. Now yes, they could go out there now and the seeds themselves would be perfectly happy, but I don't go out into the garden every single day and don't always get the chance. So if I have them in the house, I can keep a close eye on them every single day. So in my seed trays, I've laid out some little tiny pots, and in each pot I've attempted to sow 2 seeds, though I have to admit some of my little pots I've got 3 or 4 seeds in. It's just the way they fall out between your fingers. The reason for planting 2 seeds in each pot is hopefully if one doesn't germinate, the second one will. And if they both germinate, because there's only 2 of them, things hopefully won't get overcrowded too quickly and need attention and potting them to bigger pots. I've filled my pots with a mix of multi-purpose compost and vermiculite, exactly the same as I used with the dahlia tubers the other week. I know if you buy a seed compost, you're more guaranteed of a sterile environment for your seeds to germinate, but also with a seed compost, there's no nutrition, so you very quickly have to start feeding those plants to help them grow healthy and strong by starting off in little pots of multi-purpose compost. As soon as those young seedlings need it, there should be some nutrition available for them. Now, along with my little trays, I do have little plastic covers, everything in miniature, very cute. And I'm going to scatter these around the house on various window ledges to get the maximum amount of light. As I said, I'm starting with cold tolerant plants, so they don't need the heat of the propagator. A nice warm sunny window ledge will be perfectly fine to get these germinating. Just being indoors in the house should be warm enough to get them started. So what have I actually been planting? Let's read my labels and find out. I've got cabbage Holland white, Brussels sprouts, that actually I don't plan to grow the Brussels sprouts to full sprouting size and height. A couple of them might do, but the intention is to eat the Brussels sprouts as very young plants. I just want the leaves from those younger plants. They have that nice sprouty flavour without the long wait till next winter before we get sprouts. Some rainbow chard. So I'm hoping to get some nice coloured stems from these. My seed is very old for the chard, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of germination success I get from this. What have we got here? Purple sprouting broccoli, purple kohlrabi, can't say it, purple kohlrabi, more sprouting broccoli, but just standard green. And at the front we have red cabbage and cauliflower. So all the brassica family today. I've also been potting up some little side shoots from my chamomile. Now these are actually side shoots I took a couple of weeks ago and they're doing really nicely. When I first did it, I had no confidence that they would actually grow or survive. It was only a couple of years ago I discovered there are 2 different sorts of chamomile. There's a German chamomile that grows a relatively tall 18-inch 2-foot plant with all its beautiful daisy chamomile flowers on top. And there's a Roma chamomile that stays much shorter and is the chamomile we consider for the chamomile lawn. So I planted seeds last year that did very well, so I have a small patch of chamomile doing quite nicely. And through the winter I've noticed it's putting on these long straggly side shoots. I'll take you out now and we'll have a look. So here's the chamomile growing in a little strip of soil at the edge of this raised bed. And as you see, it's putting out these long tendrils across the path, which is great because now I can take these little pieces and use them to make cuttings. So here I have 2 little tiny plantlets growing off this one stem. Turning it round to see the underneath, I can tear these little plantlets off that bit of stem and I have a whole new tiny plant ready to put in a pot of compost and start a new chamomile. And I shall do exactly the same with this second piece, giving me 2 new chamomile plants to add to my ever-growing collection. And here's all the side shoots I've potted up today, expanding my chamomile collection very nicely. When I first planted these bits a couple of weeks ago, as I said, I had no confidence they would survive. And for the first week, they did look pretty sorry for themselves. On week 2, I was just surprised to see they hadn't died yet. And all of a sudden, on week 3, they suddenly burst back into life, stood up tall and strong, and are looking really healthy. So I have every hope that my second batch taken today are going to do exactly the same. So although I have bought more seed to expand my chamomile area, I'm very happy to have a head start with all these extra new little tiny plants already up and growing. So now the chamomile's sorted, let's go and see what's happening outdoors in the garden. Well, outdoors on this gorgeous spring day, we have a mole. Is there any more mole hills? Where we got? Well, a little bit there at the side of the bed and there. So yes, our mole's been having fun. Lovely. And the daffodils are up. Gorgeous. Can I scan us in? Yes, I can. And yet more daffodils looking absolutely splendid and golden in the sunshine. More daffodils, this time under the shade of the trees. It's not shady though, there's no leaves on these trees yet. The last few sprigs of sprouting broccoli ready to be harvested. And on this side, they've already started to show some flowers. The sprouting broccoli in the polytunnel, on the other hand, has really gone to flower. I'm still going to eat it, flower stalks and all. So a very pretty dinner tonight. I like the flowers. You take them off and eat them now just as they are. We'll sprinkle them into a salad. They have a slightly sweet hint from the nectar. And I like them. So this is it, the last of last year's sprouting broccoli. So the herbs are doing quite nicely in here as well. This is that fennel that was popping up the other week, and I'm going to take some today and add it to that broccoli in a salad because it's doing very nicely. Can afford to lose a few leaves now. Let grazing season begin as I munch my way through the garden. We've got some parsley over here, which is actually in the pathway, but it's growing very nicely, so I'm going to leave it there. And over here I have a large cluster of chives, looking a little thirsty. They're escaping out into the pathway as well. And one random daffodil. Not quite sure how that got in here. Definitely going to have to move it. Make sure it doesn't get eaten. In this bed I have potatoes sprouting up. I haven't planted them. These are obviously a couple I missed last year when I was harvesting. I'm not going to dig them out though. I'll let them carry on growing and take a harvest when they're ready. And I've got these little sprigs of green. And these are actually passion fruit plants. There's one back here, or a clump. There's a couple of stems. And here, and another smaller one. I'm not sure the camera's picking it up, around here. And at the end of this bed, saved from all the winter clearing, is a petunia that's managed to survive over the winter in the polytunnel. I suspected and hoped it would. So it's looking a little scruffy and straggly at the edges here. So I may cut these stems back, leave its main central healthy bushy core. The peas I planted the other week are starting to show themselves, all popping up nicely. So I'm going to take the lid off this box and just put it over at night and take it off in the mornings. And up here on the potting bench, we've got the lettuces also showing themselves. And we've had a few cold nights, and these agapanthus seem to have survived it very nicely. No sign of the begonias yet though they are in the same tray as the agapanthus. So they're now receiving some water. Today I'm going to take some cuttings of rhododendron. This is a special rhododendron. So special I've forgotten its name. It has yellow flowers, and when its new leaves come each season, they're silver and fluffy. That's what I like about it, is its unusualness. So I'm going to see if I can propagate it. This is a very long straggly branch because this particular big rhododendron is growing under the trees and it's in too much shade. Part of the reason why I want to take some cuttings and spread it around in nice sunny places. I need to cut below a leaf joint leaving these little nodes here. I'm going to take these bottom leaves off. We don't want those. So I'm near the bottom of a leaf joint and there's a little growth node just in here. Now at the top of this plant, for a plant that's got no roots at the moment, this is a lot of leaf to maintain. So I'm going to take lots of them off. So this one's had something munching on it. So I'll take off these scruffy leaves. That one. Leaving you unbalanced. We'll take that one. So I've just left it a couple of leaves to absorb some sunlight and some energy, and taken off about half of what was there. I've got some standard compost mixed with vermiculite, my usual happy mix, and I'm going to stick this in. Pack this compost just a little bit and give this lots of water. And we're in the polytunnel, so it's nice and warm in here, and hopefully we'll get some growth. So I have one more. I've done one already. I've got the one I've just shown you, and I have one more to do. Now this is a better looking specimen because it's, although I've got a long stick here, I'm going to take my cut down here. So I've got the top rosette of the plant, down its stem. Here's the next leaf node area. I'm going to cut, I'll take these leaves off, we don't need those. I'm going to cut in a bit closer. And then here we have some little growth nodes happening. I like this one because the leaf underneath that had already snapped off. So I'm going to cut in there with my secateurs. So I'm leaving this node, and there's one in there in a leaf joint. So I've got 3 little nodes happening. Just like the other one, too many leaves. So let's reduce the leaves by half. I'm going to take out the top ones. Take that one, that one, that one, and I think one more. There, we'll just leave it with 3. I like this little short stem. If I'm successful, it'll give us a much chunkier, stockier plant. And into the pot it goes. So I'm going to fill this tray with water so these can get a good soak. And hope we get a few sunny days to keep it nice and warm in here. Fingers crossed. Let's hope they manage to produce some roots. And if not, there's always next year. I still have the main plant they came from.
If you've enjoyed today's video, click that like button and let me know. Click subscribe and YouTube will make sure you see my next video. Bye for now and thanks for watching. And don't forget, whatever you're doing, have fun doing it.
Don't stand on the seed trays. Oh, got me screaming.